When we look at our lives, it often feels as though we are simply drifting from one moment to the next, carried by the winds of circumstance. Yet behind all of it, every joy, every sorrow, every delay, every closed door, there is a divine hand at work. You are not merely existing, you are being shaped. You are clay in the hands of a master potter, and the shape he is forming in you is not one of mere survival, but of glory. Think of a child learning to write. At first the letters are clumsy, uneven, and almost unreadable. The teacher corrects, guides, and sometimes even erases the whole line so that the child can begin again. To the child this feels frustrating, but to the teacher it is necessary because she does not see only the messy letters. She sees what the child will one day write with elegance. In the same way, God sees not only your present struggles, but the person He is forming you to be. Many of us wish the process were easier. We pray for strength, and God allows us to face trials that require strength. We ask for patience, and life confronts us with waiting. We long for love, and He places before us people who are difficult to love. What looks like resistance is, in truth, refinement. You are being trained not for the life you now live, but for the life you were created to live. You may have noticed that the things of this world never truly satisfy. Success tastes sweet for a moment, but quickly turns bitter. Comfort soothes for a time, but never lasts. This dissatisfaction is not a flaw in you, it is a signpost. You were made for something higher. God is shaping you into someone who can live in His kingdom, a place where selfishness has no place, where truth is never twisted, and where joy is unending. Consider this: if God were content to leave you as you are, He would be no better than a careless builder who leaves his house half finished, exposed to the storms. But He is not careless, He is relentless. If you feel His chiseling, it is because He intends for you to become something more solid than stone, more radiant than light. One day, when you look back, you will see that the very moments you resented were the ones that built you. The nights of doubt strengthened your faith, the disappointments deepened your trust. The tears watered seeds of compassion you did not know you could grow. Slowly, sometimes painfully, sometimes beautifully, God was shaping you into the kind of person who could reflect His love. So when you ask yourself, "Who am I becoming?" remember this: you are not becoming a better version of yourself by accident. You are becoming who you were always meant to be. The hand that made the stars is the same hand that is shaping you, and He will not stop until His work is complete. You are clay in the hands of a master potter, and every trial is part of the shaping. This truth can feel both comforting and unsettling at the same time. Comforting because it means that your life is not random, not meaningless, not a loose collection of accidents strung together. There is intention in what you face, even when you cannot see it. Yet it is unsettling too, because it means you must surrender to a process that is not always gentle, a process that bends, presses, and sometimes breaks what you thought was strong in order to form what is stronger still. A lump of clay in its natural state is nothing to look at. It is formless, easily marred, and without true beauty. But when placed on the wheel, it begins to take shape. The potter's hands do not leave it alone for a moment. He presses here, pulls there, wets it when it is too dry, and trims away what is not needed. The clay cannot resist without spoiling its own design. In the same way, your life is being pressed and pulled by unseen hands that know exactly what you can become. When trials come, you may be tempted to think you are being punished or abandoned. But imagine the clay, if it could think, crying out at every pressure of the potter's thumb. Would it not mistake every touch for harm, every adjustment for pain without purpose? Yet the potter never harms without design. He knows what the clay cannot yet see, the finished form. Your struggles are not wasted blows. They are the very means by which you are shaped into something enduring and beautiful. The things you wish would pass quickly are often the very things required to strengthen your foundation. Just as a vessel must be centered on the wheel before it can rise, your heart must be centered in God's hands before your life can grow upward. Think also of the trimming and carving. No potter leaves excess clay clinging to the vessel. He cuts away what is unnecessary so that the final work is balanced and strong. In your life, losses, disappointments, and endings often feel like cruel removals, but in truth, they are the careful cuts of the one who knows what cannot remain if you are to fulfill your true purpose. Every subtraction is for the sake of a greater addition, and even after the shaping is complete, the clay must endure the fire. Without the heat of the kiln, it remains fragile, easily crumbled, easily broken. It is the fire that hardens it, that seals its form, that allows it to hold and carry what it was made to contain. So it is with your own trials. The fire is never meant to destroy, but to strengthen, to set you in the shape prepared for you. God answers prayers for growth not with ease, but with opportunities that demand strength, patience, and love. When you ask for courage, you are not handed courage as though it were an object you could hold. You are placed in situations that stir your fear and require you to stand firm. When you ask for patience, you are not simply granted the calm of a still river. You are met with delays, frustrations, and seasons of waiting that stretch you further than you thought possible. When you long to love more deeply, you are not merely filled with a pleasant warmth. You are brought face with people who are difficult to love, people who test your kindness, people who reveal the limits of your compassion. The answers you receive are not shortcuts, but lessons written in the very fabric of your days. It is easy to imagine that growth should be smooth, that God would simply pour virtues into your heart as rain waters a garden. Yet the soil of the heart often resists such ease. Real growth requires roots to push against the earth, stems to press upward against the weight of gravity, and leaves to open themselves to the full light of the sun. Growth always meets resistance, and so the strength you desire is not given as a gift neatly wrapped. It is cultivated through resistance, through struggle, through the slow sharpening of your character against the rough edges of life. Think of the athlete who asks for strength. He is not handed muscles in a moment. He is given training that taxes his body, weights that stretch his endurance, and challenges that test his limits. The very soreness he feels is the evidence that strength is being formed. In the same way, when you pray for strength of spirit, you are given burdens that may feel too heavy, but in carrying them, your soul becomes stronger. Patience grows in the waiting room of unanswered prayers. Compassion grows in the interruptions you did not plan. Love grows in the tension between your desires and the needs of others. This is why trials so often follow prayers for change. You pray to become more faithful, and suddenly you are tested in your faith. You pray to become more forgiving, and suddenly you are wronged. You pray to trust God more deeply, and suddenly you find yourself without control, forced to let go of what you cannot fix. To the surface eye, these things look like obstacles to your prayers. In truth, they are the answers themselves, arriving in forms you did not expect. The way God shapes the soul is not by removing struggle, but by infusing meaning into it. Every hard season, every testing circumstance, every painful wait is both the challenge and the classroom. Your heart is being trained, your mind stretched, your character formed in the very crucible you once wished to escape. The discomfort you resist is often the place where your prayer is being fulfilled in ways you could not have imagined. The dissatisfaction you feel with this world is a signpost pointing to the higher life you were created for. Within every human heart there exists a longing that no earthly achievement, possession, or relationship can fully satisfy. You may pursue success, and for a brief moment the applause of others feels like sunlight on your skin. Yet quickly the warmth fades, and you find yourself chasing the next accomplishment, the next recognition, the next milestone. You may seek comfort, arranging your life so that it is as safe and predictable as possible, but even in the most peaceful seasons there is a restlessness within, a whisper that asks, "Is this all there is?" The hunger never entirely goes away because it was never meant to be filled here. It is the echo of eternity calling you home. Think of a traveler who spends the night at an inn. The bed is serviceable, the food adequate, the roof protective, yet he knows it is not his final destination. He does not decorate the walls or build a permanent foundation because the inn is not his home. This world, with all its fleeting joys and temporary pleasures, is like that inn. It can shelter you for a time, but it cannot satisfy the deep desire for permanence, for fullness, for unending joy. That desire is the fingerprint of God on your soul, reminding you that you are made for more than passing days and fading treasures. This dissatisfaction, though often uncomfortable, is a gift. Without it, you would settle for less than you were created for. Without it, you would mistake temporary pleasures for ultimate ones, thinking that the applause of men, the accumulation of wealth, or the fleeting thrill of indulgence could sustain your soul. But because the emptiness always returns, you are driven to search for something greater. That search itself is evidence that you are being drawn toward the higher life. A bird longs for the sky because it was made to fly. A fish longs for water because it was made to swim. And you long for eternal joy because you were made to dwell in it. Even the greatest experiences here serve as glimpses, shadows of a greater reality. A breathtaking sunset stirs your heart not only because of its beauty, but because it hints at a beauty that will never fade. A moment of true love moves you deeply not merely because of the affection shared, but because it foreshadows a love that is eternal and unbreakable. These moments are not the destination, they are the signs along the road urging you forward. The danger lies in mistaking the signs for the destination, in clinging to the temporary as though it were ultimate. The ache of dissatisfaction reminds you not to anchor your hope too firmly in what cannot last. It teaches you to hold the things of this world with open hands, to receive them with gratitude, but not to demand from them what they cannot give. You were created with a hunger that only the eternal can satisfy, and the very fact that you feel it is proof that you are meant for more than what you see around you. God is relentless in his work. Every hardship chisels you into someone fit for his kingdom. The hand that shapes you does not tire, nor does it abandon the task halfway. What seems like relentless difficulty in your life is, in truth, relentless love refusing to leave you unfinished. A sculptor does not stop at the first strike of the chisel. He continues to cut, to refine, to smooth, and to polish until the rough block of stone becomes a form of beauty. Each strike may look violent, each fragment that falls may appear like loss, yet without these cuts, the statue would remain shapeless, unrecognizable, and incapable of reflecting the vision of the artist. So it is with your life. The hardships that press upon you are not random blows but deliberate strokes, each one designed to reveal the image you were meant to bear. Consider the difference between comfort and transformation. Comfort leaves you as you are, untested, unproven, and unchanged. Transformation requires discomfort because it breaks down what is weak to build up what is strong. When a blacksmith wants to fashion a blade, he does not pamper the metal. He subjects it to fire, hammer, and grindstone. Without the fire, the steel cannot be shaped. Without the hammer, it cannot be strengthened. Without the grindstone, it cannot be sharpened. And so, the very hardships you wish would pass are the conditions by which your soul is tempered, forged into a vessel worthy of enduring eternity. There are moments when you may feel as though you are being broken beyond repair. You look at the fragments of your plans, the ruins of your efforts, and wonder why so much has been taken from you. Yet even in those moments, the work continues with precision. The sculptor never allows a strike that ruins the piece. What falls away is only what must be removed for the beauty beneath to be revealed. Every loss, every trial, every disappointment is part of the design, though it may feel senseless while you endure it. Only with time will you begin to see how the lines connect, how the fragments form a pattern, how the chiseling was never waste but always intention. The relentlessness of God's work is itself a sign of his love. He does not give up on the stone that resists him, nor does he discard the clay that collapses on the wheel. He begins again, reshaping, refining, refusing to let you settle for less than what you were created to be. His kingdom does not require perfect vessels at the start. It requires vessels willing to be made perfect through his process. The shaping is not easy, but it is necessary, because only through it can you bear the strength, humility, and radiance that fit you for the life he is preparing. The very weight you carry today may be the precise pressure required to form you into who you must become. The very struggle you resist may be the tool that removes what cannot remain. The relentlessness of the trials is not cruelty, but commitment, the commitment of a creator who has seen your true form and will not rest until it shines forth. One day, you will see that your struggles were the very tools that shaped you into who you were meant to be. In the middle of pain, it feels impossible to imagine that anything good could come from it. The nights of worry stretch long, the tears fall quietly, and the silence of unanswered questions can feel heavier than any burden you carry. Yet hidden within those very moments is a work being done that you cannot yet perceive. Struggles are not simply interruptions in your story. They are chapters filled with the lessons and strength that will one day define your character. The things you most wanted to avoid may, in time, become the very things that forged your resilience, your compassion, and your faith. Think of how the roots of a tree grow deepest when storms beat against it. If no wind ever shook its branches, the roots would remain shallow, and the tree would topple when the storm eventually came. So it is with the soul. It is in times of resistance that depth is formed. Struggles dig your roots deep into trust, forcing you to reach for strength beyond your own. What feels like breaking is often strengthening. What feels like loss is often making room for a greater gain. And what feels like abandonment is often the hidden presence of God working more closely than ever before. You will one day look back and realize that the very prayers you thought went unanswered were answered in ways you could not see at the time. The closed door that left you bewildered protected you from paths that would have harmed you. The delay that tested your patience refined your endurance. The failure that wounded your pride gave birth to humility that made you approachable, teachable, and able to connect with others in their weakness. Every struggle held within it a seed of transformation, and though the process was painful, the harvest was rich. Even the smallest struggles matter in this shaping. A single moment of disappointment can teach endurance. A season of loneliness can teach you the value of presence. A period of waiting can cultivate hope that no immediate gratification could ever give. These experiences are not wasted. They are woven into the fabric of who you are becoming. When the tapestry is still on the loom, the pattern is unclear, and the threads seem tangled and random. Only when it is complete can you see that every strand had its place, every color its meaning, every knot its role in strengthening the whole. Person you will become cannot exist without the struggles you endure. Strength is not formed in ease, and wisdom is not born from constant comfort. The fire of difficulty refines you, the weight of hardship builds you, and the ache of loss softens your heart so that you may carry empathy for others. One day, with the clarity of hindsight, you will trace the lines of your life and realize that nothing was wasted. The tools that once cut you were the same tools that carved you into a vessel of strength and beauty, a vessel capable of holding what you were always meant to carry.